all you fanboys and fangirls. This is Derek from the Geekdom Fancast, back after the holiday season, and hope you all had a great new year and everything, and hope 2023 is great to you so far. We're running behind on our best of for 2022. I know we're almost at the end of January here, but the the funny part about it is when we recorded our Avatar episode, I got done with it, and then I took my computer to my friend's house, and turns out he's like listening to it, and he's like, "Has your computer been making the sound for a while?" I'm like, "Yeah," and turns out he's like, "Yeah, you need to replace this hard drive. This computer's about to die on you."
Oh, geez.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, he's like, I'm like, "Well, I really wanted to record, at least this one more podcast, our best of before the year's out," and he's like, "If you do it, you're at your own risk. You're on borrowed time. That's all I'm telling you." So I'm like, "Oh crap."
He's all, Kirk, it's dead. He's dead.
So I had to kind of like minimally use my computer until I could get my our wonderful friend of the podcast, Philip Martinez, thank you, buddy, to replace my hard drive and everything. So now we're good to go, and I can not worry about this blowing up on us in the middle of the recording. So
you're one of the few people I know that have your own tech support guy.
That is true.
Well, I need one because I'm technologically retarded. So, oh wait, that's not PC. I'm sorry to people.
Don't say that anymore.
I'm technologically super challenged.
There you go.
There we go.
But as audio wise, you guys can already hear them. But video wise, we like to introduce them properly. First off, we have the return of our wonderful of Houston's finest, borrowing him from the Toy Kind of Mood Toy Show. The return of Mr. Bobby Behar. How are you?
What's up, buddy? I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm actually really good because the Cowboys lost.
Woohoo!
We are fresh off from the playoffs from this past weekend. So the Cowboys and the Bills both lost properly today. So our condolences to their fan bases.
Yeah. Go Buffalo's condolences. Dallas, meh.
I mean, I'm happy for the Bengals, but at the same time, like I just can't. I'm starting to feel for the Bills, like people feel for the Chargers. My brother and I are actually starting to call them Dallas, AFC, because they just keep making to the playoffs and failing.
Well, the Bengals are just good.
No, but it's just like the Bills keep making it, and they can't get past the playoffs.
I know.
It's like it's got to be pretty disheartening. Like most teams are lucky to even make the playoffs. The Bills keep making it, and then so but moving on, also not to be not left out of this at all is our supreme burger lord, the man of all eateries. He's still a proper fanboy in pop culture at the same time, Mr. Greg Musinho. How are you?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here. Thank you so much. I just came off from celebrating the 10-year anniversary of my favorite burger place called Grill 'Em All in Alhambra, California. It was
Greg, don't let the oyster hear you say that.
Oh, the oyster shares the love too, but they've been around a little bit longer. But they're friends. It's okay. But
okay. Just really quick. Might as well throw them a plug and tell people about them and where they're at.
Yes. So there's two places. Like I said, Grill 'Em All Burgers, which is in Alhambra, California. They're on the social media as Grill 'Em All, I believe. You can find them in Instagram and Facebook. And they're a fantastic place. They rose to fame because they were on the Food Network's first food truck contest, and they won that contest that year. They were a food truck for a little bit, and then they became a little restaurant that just celebrated 10 years in beautiful Alhambra, California. And then the other place I like to eat is called the Oinkster, and that's in Eagle Rock, California, and they're a great place too. So if you're in California and you want to eat really good burgers, this is where you go.
And there's a 75% chance you'll run into Greg.
Maybe.
You know what? That's actually a place that maybe Mr. Bobby Behar here, who's has his nose up in the air when it comes to California food.
I just hate In-N-Out.
How dare you?
It's garbage. It is garbage.
How dare you? That is sacrilegious talk in California.
Garbage.
Wow.
I know, right? See, Greg, he needs help.
What? Even I don't go that low. And I could make fun of Whataburger, but Whataburger is an American tradition.
Well, look, where did we go that one time, Derek, when I was down there last? They had really good burgers.
Oh, that place was good. I can't remember the name of it. It's in Burbank, though. I forgot the name of it.
Yeah. Look,
I'm not helping them at all by saying that.
No,
I found out there's one by Dana's house, too.
Is it really? Look,
Yeah.
I have nothing against Cali food. Like Cali has really good burgers. I just think In-N-Out is
In-N-Out is Cali though.
Well,
That's
it's
like
like it's the Five Guys versus In-N-Out kind of thing that seems to be the national thing. Either you're one for one of those two when you go.
I will see celebrities that come from the East Coast. They will post about coming to the West Coast, and one of the first things they do is eat In-N-Out. Okay, that's how synonymous they are.
Look, I get it, but people have bad taste. That's fine.
You know,
right?
Jim Lee loves In-N-Out. Jim Lee loves In-N-Out.
Okay, yes,
You know,
bad taste in
do you know,
burgers. I'm sorry.
I met a girl once at a convention that she told me she would like try to get on its good side. She would bring In-N-Out to the convention with her, and she would give it to him, and he would like get all happy.
I mean, look, I have look if I'm in Houston or when I'm here in Houston, there are burger places. Actually, dude, if you ever come to Houston, I have a new burger joint to take you to. It is fantastic.
I'm down.
Austin, I've got Sandy's and P. Terry's.
I went to Sandy's. Remember, Sandy's was good.
Yeah, I took you to Sandy's. Yeah, I love Sandy's.
What was the other place? P. What?
P. Terry's.
Yeah, I went there too.
Yeah,
I feel like they're like In-N-Out, honestly.
better. Well, I mean, they're like equivalent to.
They're like they're like the fast food of Austin or whatever.
Yeah,
but they're not like a Burger King or McDonald's. They're better than that, but like they're like a fast food version.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought they were great. I think I had their shakes. I can't remember. But they were in downtown Austin. So when we went to ATX Festival, they were like right there all the time. We'd be walking, and it's like, oh, let's go. But right there.
It's right there. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Anyways, if we're done talking about sports and food to all you people, and you're like, what the hell? We're supposed to be talking about TV here. So let's get back on that trail. We are going to be tackling our top TV of 2022. If you're asking why don't we do movies and TV, because we don't have a 3-hour long podcast, and I'm more of a TV person. Honestly, this past year, not that I don't like movies, and I know the two guys sitting here have watched plenty of movies, but it's just we only have so much time, and I honestly I didn't watch that many films, and I didn't want to make a subpar crappy list that's just like, well, these are the only movies I watched, so I'm going to make this weak ass list. So that's why we're sticking with TV, because that's the one thing I consumed a lot of.
I won't lie, 2022 was one of those years for both movies and TV where it was an embarrassment of riches. It really was. Like movie wise, like I was trying to do my top 10 of movies. I'm like, oh, that shit. Okay, shit. That okay. There's my top 10, and my honorable mentions is like it could be someone else's top 10. Same with TV. Like TV, like we got spoiled. We really did.
There's so much stuff. I mean, there's more streaming services. There's more original content coming out. There's more reboots coming out that are actually good on the television side. And then with movies, yeah, it really is, as we get back to some sense of kind of normal pre-pandemic time, we're getting more stuff coming out. It's just like, wow. I can't say, like, when I was putting my list together, I was like, geez, I do watch a lot of television.
Oh, I could have told you that. This will be the thing, Bobby. This is the thing when like Greg and I would go out to eat sometimes, and it would be depending on how busy my life was. But there's times we would go out to eat, and Greg would just be like, "So did you see this? No, Greg, I haven't seen that. Have you seen this? No, Greg, I haven't seen that yet. Have you seen this? No, Greg." And it's just like, "Sorry, Greg, I haven't had your time to watch all this stuff."
So it's like our chats. All right, I see. I feel for you.
And then he would turn around. And the first thing he was like, "Have you seen Yellow Jackets? Have you seen Yellow Jackets?"
Yeah, and yet of all things, Greg took forever to watch Yellow Jackets.
I almost did that on purpose.
It took me for, I took me a while to jump on Yellow Jackets, and now I love it.
Yes.
Oh, you finally got on it?
Oh yeah.
No, not you. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Dana. I've been bugging Dana to watch it.
Oh, it was so good, and then I think season 2 starts up in March.
March, yeah. I'm very excited. That's the only reason it's not on my list, because technically it came out at the end of 2021. So
yeah,
that's the only reason it's not on my list.
Fair.
But for the listening audience, or I don't know, video audience as well. So we compiled our 3 lists. We tried to find our commonalities to go through first. So we're going to tackle those for you all first. I'm just going to jump into one that I think everybody knows and is high on a lot of people's lists. Bobby, tell us what you loved about Severance.
Oh Jesus, what didn't I love about Severance?
You hate the fat guy, huh? You're fat shaming, aren't you? You horrible person.
Look, you son of a bitch. Severance was one of those shows where you watch it and you the first thing you think is, this is brilliant, but what the fuck am I watching? Because it's so and you have to give it to Ben Stiller, an amazing job directing this. Like he did a great job, but sorry, the casting is fantastic. Like Adam Scott, uh, is so good on this, especially since yeah. I mean, we know mainly from Parks and Rec or Step Brothers, the one Party, yeah. Like we know him for comedy. He's a hilarious guy, but he takes this dramatic role, and you're like, oh, like comedians could usually do better drama than serious actors. But like John Turturro, makes you feel for him. Christopher Walken, and look, Christopher Walken. I joke like there are certain actors where it's just them, but like varying degrees. But you still fall in love with Christopher Walken in this show. And the premise, like I'm the fact we were actually my wife and I were watching this and we're like, when is this going to happen in real life? Because companies are going, can we do this? Can we make this happen? And it was just it was a I think a complete home run for Apple. And Apple has been doing great. I mean, Ted Lasso, we get the season 3 for 2023 coming out. But Severance was just like each week, you're like, what is going to happen? And then that finale we got, we're like,
oh,
wait,
I forgot about Ted Lasso. Was that 2021 or 2022?
2021.
Okay, so I didn't forget about it. Okay,
No, you didn't know. It didn't.
I digress.
It didn't come out last year. But if it finishes, quote unquote, finishes this storyline
right
in March.
Greg, your Severance thoughts?
Just going back, that last episode, that I never felt that way in a long time. Just the tension of what was going on and the execution of how they were figuring out what was happening between the inner and the outside life. And I think by now, if people haven't figured out, we're going to spoil things as we talk about these shows. So if you haven't seen any of these shows and you want to watch them without, please stop and come back. You hear the name of the title of the show if you haven't watched it. But that last episode just left me on the edge of my seat, and I was just like, wow, just so great. But great performances, great what the fuck moments, just title sequence was wonderful. It was something where and I'm a big fan of Patricia Arquette. I've always
so good.
She's so good. I fell for her in Medium, and I just know that she can play such a variety of different characters. She was in Boardwalk Empire. She does all these great period roles, and then to do something like this, where it's just like she's batshit crazy and she's in charge.
Well, Greg, real quick to piggyback off what you just said.
Yes.
The fact that everyone in this show has to play a dual identity. Like everyone.
Yeah.
And to see like that switch, and going back to the first episode, the pilot, where Adam, when Scott gets there and he's like depressed, and then like you see them just going up and like, hi, like he's like so happy, and they're like, oh, everything just changes.
Yes.
And and then when they come back down, it's like that change in attitude, that change in demeanor, that change in facial feature, like, oh, and then when he's like, she's alive. When you find out, which I need to know, like when that happened, my wife and I was like, "Fuck, what happened?"
Exactly, and I remember thinking about that character and going like, I think that's the wife. For some reason, I just said, I think that's the wife, and then when they pulled it back and they showed that, I was like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like you said, the way that they put all the performances together, and then I said that backstory, the whole thing of the founder of the company. I'm thinking this is like Scientology. This is like Ron Hubbard. It's just bizarre. And I remember my friend saying like, "What's with the animal mask?" And I said, "That's the best part about it. This thing does not make any sense yet. It makes all the sense in the world as you're watching it."
Yeah,
it's like I said, it's a great show, and I know, Derek, you can you can attest to the fact that the Comic-Con offsite that they did for it was something that I wish I could have gone to, but I heard you went, and it was such a great thing to do, and it just empowered you even more if you'd watched the show.
That's the thing. Like I heard of some people. I honestly didn't meet anyone, but I heard of some people that went that didn't watch the show, and I can't even see that being worth your time because it wouldn't be. on the surface, if you just walked into these random rooms and you didn't know what any of it meant, I can't see it being that interesting. But if you know the show, then it felt like you were in the show and that you felt like you were an employee of the company and stuff, and it was wonderfully fun. So, I just want to say about my 2 cents for Severance is that I wasn't a big fan in the beginning. I mean, it was snail's pace slow in the beginning, but it was just enough intriguing enough that I'm just like, okay, I want to see where we're going with this. Like, it's not even like picking up pace wise, but I'm like, I can tell, you could tell there was something it was building towards. So I wanted to stick with it. And then, obviously by the time you get about midway through, it starts really like developing, and, you start developing the stories and the characters and stuff. And, there was just so many interesting plot lines going on, and it's all the individual things, the whole with his friend Petey and stuff. And
Yeah.
I hated Milchek so much. I hated that guy. I wanted someone to kick his ass or get him fired, or I don't know, something bad happened to him. I really didn't like him. He was like not like, the quote unquote villain, but he was definitely not, one of the core four, of our people that we were following and stuff. But yeah, it was, I thought especially with the Batman coming out in the same year, and Severance, John Turturro had a good year.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, the reveal when Turturro, when you see his outside life, oh my God, that was so fantastically dark and just
the painting.
Yes, the music. I was just like, not in a million years would I expect that for that character, and it was just he is such a great actor, and it was just a wonderful performance.
It was one of the few endings, and every show has got this. Everyone can attest to at least one or two shows probably that do this. It was one of the few shows that I watched this past year where the last episode happened, and that last 5 minutes, I'm like, oh, come on.
Oh yeah. Well,
I'm like, really? You guys suck.
You know what? I'll say this. So, Severance was one of those shows where, like, the first like 2-3 episodes, we were like, okay, this is good. It's going somewhere. Okay, this is interesting. We'll keep on. And then the final 5 minutes, you're like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I will say, a show that isn't even anywhere on my top, because we got really pissed when we almost dropped it, was another Apple show, The Servant.
Which is
what do you mean dropped? It's finishing up.
Yeah, but he said to take you off that enough. He said no more.
Yeah, we were so pissed with the show that we're like, you know what? We're done. We're done.
Oh, so you quit it.
we were going to quit it. We were going to quit it. We're like, you know what? And I remember watching, actually, the finale was the same night that Taylor Hawkins passed. We watched it. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, we were watching it, like, you know what? We're done. I'm like, oh, there's only one season left. I don't give a shit. We're done. And then the way it ended, we're like, oh, fuck you, Apple. All right, fine. One season left. One season, whatever. We'll watch it. We'll push through.
So you got it twice, huh?
Twice by Apple.
Oh wow. All right. So that is our Severance thoughts on our innies and outies.
Yes.
Let's move on to something a little more jovial, crazy fun. Let's talk about Peacemaker.
Oh, Peacemaker.
Greg, take it then.
You know, first of all, opening sequence with that dance routine. Just, everybody was memeing that. It was perfectly done. And the fact that they got all the actors to participate in it, was just great. I mean, I liked the Suicide Squad second movie. So I was really enjoying John Cena's character from that. So to have a whole series that they did, and this, the vigilante actor that came in, just everybody was just like, yes, this is the DC that you want, which is raunchy and doesn't pull any punches, just goes with it. Great visual effects, great performances by everybody. Just, it was a delight. What a fun show. And it shows you that, again, for as much as people like to bash on DC, it's one of the reasons why Gunn is now running DC from the movies and the television shows. He knows what people want to watch and see, and he doesn't shy away from, like, look, we got stuff for the kids. That's great. This is for the adults. Mm-hmm. And we're going to tackle all these kinds of different subjects and just go out there. It was just such a great show. I loved it.
I actually forgot about Peacemaker, because once again, like, so many things, and you're like, oh,
Well, also it was all the way
year.
back in like February, so like that's why I have to like write this stuff during the end of the year because I would have probably forgotten about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with 100% with Greg. James Gunn, you know, he how do I put this properly? Um, he did Suicide Squad and Peacemaker raunch because that's what those characters are. They are the R-rated. But you look at what he does with Guardians. Like Guardians is very like for the family. Like that's where Superman's gonna fall in. Like he'll probably have a few jokes, but it's not gonna be like cringy Joss Whedon writing. Um, like he knows these characters, and so we do get. Although I won't lie, I did get a little annoyed with the whole like uh him like the Flash spreading the rumor that Aquaman fucks fish. Like Barry Allen would do that. So funny, but yeah, like Freddie Stroma as Vigilante was probably like stole the whole show. Um, John Cena. This is one of those projects where I got to talk to a buddy of mine, and I'm like, there's a reason why John Cena and Dave Bautista are better actors than The Rock. Like The Rock is The Rock, no matter what you see him in now. He's The Rock. Like when he started out, he actually was trying to act, yes, but like Black Adam was a shitty film because he was just The Rock, and like great that you got like Jack to play Black Adam. That's awesome. How's the story? And it was bad. John Cena's Jack, but good God, like you felt for him like when he was like having the breakdown when he was listening to his 80s music. When he was going back to like his brother dying because he killed him because he was trying to show off for his dad. I was like,
Everything with his dad was heartbreaking.
Oh, and Robert Patrick played it so
Yes.
cruelly. Like, yeah, like I know you're not this guy, but God. Like that just hurts. And then, like the different helmets I was great. Like Danielle Brooks as Waller's daughter. Oh, she was like everything was so good about this. And then the fact that Eagly, like I love Eagly. Like I bought during Christmas time, GameStop was having all these like half off sales. And so I bought the Peacemaker pop with him hugging Eagly and Eagly hugging him back. Cause I love that scene. Like, he's hugging me. He's hugging me. Like, it was such a great scene. And John Cena played it so convincingly.
Yeah, because the performances were very believable in a strange way where you're dealing with something that's totally fabricated and, in another world. But the way they approached everything was a straight face, almost like I said, Peacemaker is sincere in his thought pattern of what he thinks is right in the American way and everything how it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Like bringing everyone together with the rock music and saying, look, we're a band of people, we can do this. And it's just like, they're like, no, you can't. There's no way you guys should be able to stop an alien invasion like that. And then the fun thing was, it wasn't just these aliens are here to kill us. It was complex. It was like, we're refugees. We're trying to just help you out. It had layers to it. And that was the thing. You could just watch it and just say, okay, these are dumb people doing dumb things and we're laughing about them getting hurt. Or you could just go, oh, wow, here's some heavy subtext. Look at a father-son relationship that's really fucked up. And then, part of me also was like, how did a white supremacist like Robert Patrick get a closet that has an interdimensional?
Right.
Oh my God. It was like...
The fact that he is like this racist redneck, but then he has a TARDIS basically in his closet.
Yeah.
Like you walk in, it's like, you're like, what? And I agree. Like there were so many layers, and the way it ended with, Robert Patrick is still there, like in his, like he's in his head, like, oh shit, how's this gonna play out in season 2? And I like the fact that this also tied back to Suicide Squad, when in Suicide Squad, Peacemaker understood Ratcatcher. And he like gave the little rat a shot because he has his own little sidekick, and it's Eagly. Yeah. Like it's just I do have to also give it to I'm gonna butcher his name, Chakudi.
Oh yeah.
As Clemson. I mean, he was so good. Then Judo Master. Judo Master was so good.
Judo Master was awesome. He was awesome.
Was he keep eating Cheetos? I forgot, or what was it?
Yeah, he was eating spicy Cheetos.
Yeah.
I the only thing I want to add is like the kind of what Greg was saying with the plot. Like the show doesn't really seem like you know exactly where it's going. It's just a fun ride. And then all of a sudden the alien thing comes up, and then they have the giant mother thing that's hanging from the barn in the air, and it's I'm like, what is going on here? And then the whole thing, how the what happens with the barn and all the other aliens coming after them, and they're
Yep.
just that whole last couple episodes, I'm just like, this show is nuts. This show is just
it was
completely
nuts.
bonkers nuts.
And he did it right where, speaking of The Rock and Black Adam, he's all hyped about getting Superman at the end of his movie. Well, I still think having the rest of the Justice League show up at the end of Peacemaker was way better and more raunchy and more fun. I was just like, yeah, so you got, that's not as good. This was way better. It was so much fun.
All right, well, we're gonna keep we're gonna keep on the sci-fi thing, but not as much the zany side. Let's talk about some Orville New Horizons.
Look, I was talking to a friend of mine. He's a director out in LA, and my buddy Mike is a huge Star Trek fan, like huge. And we're talking about how the Orville out Star Trek, and it's because a lot of and that's because McFarlane wanted to redo Star Trek. They said no because you do Family Guy, we don't trust you. So he said, fine, I'll do my own stuff with the writers from TNG and Deep Space Nine, and made the Orville. And I remember watching like the pilot going, this is really dumb. And then like, you know what? Let me give it another shot. And you're like, oh, this is really deep. And then the Orville this past season, I shouldn't cry at Seth MacFarlane programs. But the one where it went back in time and oh god, he does.
Where they had to leave Scott Grimes.
Yes,
yeah,
or where they came to take him.
Yeah, where they came to take him. That episode made me like tear up because he's like, "No, you left me. You can't take my family away from me." And you're like, "But the directive." I'm like, "Oh man, his whole family's gonna get erased." And I remember watching it. Like there was like trans rights, time space manipulation. There were so many things that they did right in this episode, in this season, that you're like, oh my god.
It's like he sat down and he said, okay, let me see how many controversial hot button topics I can tackle in one season for a show.
Pretty much. And you know what? And the thing was, he nailed every one.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And what's funny is, and I remember William Shatner was like, when did Star Trek get so political? Like, it's always been political. You were on the seasons when they were starting the politicization of sci-fi. I mean, and the thing I love about it is it's not like it's like without sounding dumb. It's not like forcing it. It's like they're doing it in such a well-crafted way that it makes you think and go, oh. Like we already like believe all this, but the way that they crafted it, like, oh shit, that's really well done. It's not on the nose. It's not like pandering. It's like, no, these are rights that everyone should have. And so when we go to was it Mocklin?
Yeah.
When we go to Mocklin, we see like, no, this is all like, oh man, like when they're when Bortus's son, they gave birth to a daughter, and she's like, I don't feel like myself, and you're like, oh shit, are we going here? Yeah. And we went there, and it's like, oh, okay, and it was done in such a like, oh man.
Yeah, well, it goes back to the idea like with the sentient AI robot Isaac, right? Trying to remember if that's the right name.
Man, his storyline was so wild, in a good way.
And him dealing with the reactions of the crew and everything, looking at him and saying, you're responsible for the genocide of so many people. And yet, he turned and he changed his way. He saved the day, but the hate. So the fact that he says, I'm willing to kill myself just to make a point that I am so sorry about it. And the hate of that ensign, who she just looks at him and says, I can't forgive you. I don't want to work with you, but I have to work with you because everyone else is. The complexity of that, again, was really good. It was, he, like I said, he took the best from Star Trek and made it even better. you
Yeah.
know. And then he made it in a thing of where again, it's like we are dealing with fantasy and things, but he takes science into consideration and very emotional key buttons of gender identification, rights of women, and everything. And again, it puts it into a story where you can laugh a little bit, but then you're coming home and you're getting a more thoughtful, serious message to it. And great performances. I was very frustrated because it took so long for this to come out. When it
Yeah.
finally did, the biggest thing I was worried about was like people had already kind of written it off or forgotten
Yeah.
about it. And then
Agreed.
it was on Disney Plus and Hulu, and it's like not really the people that follow him as much now, but I guess now it is because Disney owns everything. So now you got Hulu showing Family Guy, so there's more people that know Seth from his comedy
Yeah.
stuff. But it was worth the time because he actually made the time to make each episode that much better, and the effects were great. Everything about it was
Yeah.
really well put together, and I hope they get to do another season. But
Same.
it's one of those things like even if it's a shorter season, give me 2-hour movies. Give me a couple of movies that I can watch with it and tie the story up that way. Because I know the other thing he did was because of the technical issues with COVID and everything, he took one of the stories he wanted to do and put it into an audiobook. So if
Did he
you're
really?
yeah, so there's an audio story that takes place during this season, but he made sure that it wasn't something where like if you didn't watch the show, you would be missing something. But he just said it fit better as an audio story, so that's something that you can download and listen to. I think it's on one of the major audiobook sites. I don't know the one off the top of my head, but I was just like, it's such a great show. It really is.
Yeah, and I know that, like, I know there is a cliche of like putting your two leads together, and that's why I think with like Ted Lasso, like Ted and his boss, they shouldn't get together. Like I like that platonic love there. I love that.
Yeah.
But I think that the Orville does need to end with Mercer and Grayson like getting back together, because I think what you see from, and this is why I love like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Like, you can watch the Orville and you can see the character development, the character arc, and you see Mercer growing as someone who like what, like in the pilot, yeah, even in the first, like even up to like season 3, like he acknowledged that he was ignoring his wife. He wasn't giving her the attention. He wasn't happy because he wasn't happy with himself. And now we've gotten to a point where no, he is like he can be that guy that like no, I want him to like what, give those to a happy ending with each other. That's
Yeah.
just me.
My whole thing, on definitely agree with all said here. One of the things I think that works for this show so much versus any kind of an ensemble cast alternative is that he takes time to round out all the crew. Like,
Yeah.
granted, every single crew member might not have a big part in every episode, but he will find the time to give them their episode or episodes, or he will find time to slow burn their story and bring out their character more. So there's no one that's ever in the background and be like, well, we haven't heard anything about him in like 3 weeks. It's like he finds time to allocate everything to all of them at some point.
Agreed.
And then also going with what you're saying about Bobby with the the political topics and everything, the one of the things that he does really well that also on a different medium that I think Ryan Coogler does really well is, well, granted, I know it's Seth and Brandon Braga and all the writers, but he does such a good job of showing the left and the right, or point A and point B and stuff. Like he never tries to push whatever character's doing what or whatever's being affected. He never tries to make any character necessarily seem more right than anyone else in the room or anyone else that's dealing with something. He always finds a way to have the other opposition have a strong argument also of why they're right, and he doesn't make them seem like they're in the wrong. And that's what's really important.
When we find out that he has a daughter and he's like, and they're like, no, like, or like the whole like teaching like different religions, like, no, we have to be partial. Like the one where he found out he has a daughter,
oh yeah,
was so like powerful. Like damn, okay. But they had a compelling argument. He's like, all right. But
Yeah.
then he's like, I don't get to see my daughter ever. And like, oh shit. All right.
I just want to say also I'm with Greg that like I was one of the biggest people that like when it came down to 2 years plus that we're waiting on this thing, I'm like, dude, I'm like, this is taking too damn long. And then they were saying in the press, and I even talked to some other friends of mine. They're like, no, it's going to be worth it. Trust me, it's going to be worth it. And I'm like, how do you know? And I'm like, if he's taking this long, it's going to be worth it. I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm like, this is freaking ridiculous. 3 years to get a damn show out. I'm like, come on, there's no reason this should take this long, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, I think by episode 3 or 4, I'm like, all right, never mind. I take it all back.
Yep.
Like, I see why you were sitting on your butts working your asses off, for all this time and, pounding the pavement or whatever they were doing, graphics or whatever. Like, I get it. It was all worth it. So,
And I got kind of lucky / spoiled, and because I didn't realize it had come back, and so I was like 4 episodes behind. So I was able to kind of binge it,
Yeah.
and like binging it was like so satisfying until like the last like 4 episodes, and I had to like watch like week to week. I'm like, God, come on.
I mean, you know how I am with binging in general. I know I watched this one once a week and I thought it was good to digest that well, but whatever. I mean, that's probably more me than anything.
Pretty
I
much.
I do have to admit that I thought the going back to season 2, even though I think the relationship with the two Mocklins is just beyond fascinating. Everything he does with them is so interesting. The way he uses their customs and them as a couple, that they love each other, but they're constantly totally left and right sides of the political spectrum, and with dealing with their daughter, and their views are so different, but he still shows that they want to be strong as a couple. I don't know. It's fascinating.
It's a believable, workable relationship. And the one thing that's so nice about it is like you get so many different emotional responses from them, for where you're laughing at Boris when he's trying to sing, to where his mate you hate with a passion for how blindsided or one-sided he seems to be about their child. Where it's like, I was like, please go away. I don't like you. It was so well done. And it was, like I said, you mentioned, it's a full thought out character development for everybody. You're not going to get a very simple story. All the stories in each episode, the A, B, and C story, are all great stories.
Yeah.
None of them are weak, It's just so funny. And then it was a little heartfelt for me because, Norm Macdonald was one of my favorite comedians. And that being his last role and getting to see him do that character, the blob alien.
Yeah.
It was, every minute with that was just like, that was a delight. That was a delight.
Okay, but we not that it doesn't deserve, but we definitely need to move on. I want to move on to another big one that I'm sure we're gonna have time to talk a lot about on, so I want to make sure to get on it. I think we would probably all agree that this would be in our top 5 of the year. The Boys from Amazon. Bobby, you're the comic guy. More go ahead and tackle this one because you know all the source material. Yes.
For the most part, yeah. Okay. The Boys was fantastic. Look, the Boys is doing something that it can only be done now on Amazon. It really could. It's the only thing that can be done on. And I was a little disappointed in Herogasm, the episode, because the comic is so the issue is so out there that they really couldn't bring it to life. So in the comic book, they kind of make fun of the whole like hero crossover, like we're all going off to fight this giant alien in space, which would be like they're making fun of like the Phoenix Saga and like Final Crisis and stuff like that, and they just go to an island and have this ginormous orgy. And in the books, Soldier Boy sleeps with Homelander, and he's like, "I'm not gay." And he's like, "No, you fucked me for America." And he's like, "All right, thank you, Homelander." But what they did and I love what I love about this season. I think Greg will agree with me. Once again, we're going to that father-son relationship, and we're seeing Homelander with his son, and the fact that Homelander is really Soldier Boy's son, technically speaking. And Jensen Ackles killed it as Soldier Boy.
Yes.
He is such this like William Shatner asshole. I mean, and then you've got who's Huey? I can't think of his name right now.
Jack Quaid.
Jack Quaid. Thank you, because I was thinking I'm like Dennis Quaid and Meg Grandson. Jack Quaid and his character arc in this is so good, and the fact that Huey with Starlight, yeah, that like, and what I love about those two is like they love each other so much, but he's still a dumbass because he's a guy. He's a dumbass.
Yeah, he makes mistakes.
He makes mistakes, like, and like she's like, it's just funny watching because like it's so relatable because you're like, I'm gonna take this, temp V to protect my girlfriend because I love her. But I do the same thing, and then if my wife had the power, she'd be like, idiot, no, stop it, I can protect us, right? Like there's like this great, but then what we see with Eminem and with the Frenchman and I love that we got more with the girl in this one. The dance sequences in
The
her head.
musical number was awesome.
So like there's so much right with this season that like I didn't watch is it Diabolical? Yeah, I didn't watch the animated season. I have it queued up. I need to watch it.
I watched like 2 or 3 episodes. I'm like, it's funny.
I'm very interested to see where it goes in season 4.
Yeah, now we're on 4.
We're going 4 because I know Jensen Ackles said that he's hinted that he could come back. I know that we're gonna see a presidential run in probably season 4, and I want to see how some of these deaths have effect. Like I can't think of the Aquaman character. The Deep. I know we're gonna get like he's got some psychological trauma because he killed the vice president or the presidential running mate. I know we're getting a new Black Noir. So I'm there's a lot of stuff I'm really interested in.
Oh, there's another Black Noir?
Yeah.
So yes.
Oh.
Yes. So real quick, in the comic books, Black Noir is actually Homelander's twisted clone.
What?
Yes.
Okay, that's wild.
So the way that the way that the boys does end in the books is that Billy kills everyone. He kills Eminem, he kills the Frenchman, he kills the girl.
Jesus.
Or the female. And then he and Huey fight each other on V. And Huey
So they're already starting that with him. Huey's starting on the V, huh?
Mm-hmm. So we do see because Billy's like, I have to, because the boys team is taking V to fight, yeah. And so Billy's like, oh, I have to take out my own team now. And then he realized that he went too far, and he let Huey kills him.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we got that, and then Greg, correct me if I'm wrong. I think either this season or this year or next year we get the boys spinoff.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be later this year. Probably in the fall. It's going to be the school which trains
the X-Men.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Who want to be the 7 the next go around.
No, but that's totally original, right?
Nope.
That's from the book. Well. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the books. It's been a little while. I remember reading the boys when it first started.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the things where like I don't know how it ended. So that's interesting to see because it's like if they have this end story, how much do they keep to that? Because I like I said, you see all this going with season 3 is like Homelander is such a dangerous person, very unhinged.
Yeah.
And now his son, who you thought was turning the right way, is now, I want to be like daddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And where is that going to go next season? So you can see the two of them, what kind of damage they could do to just everybody.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how many seasons we have left with it. Like I said, they keep leveling up. And I'm with you too on the Herogasm, where it was like that could have been a season of its own if they really wanted to go that deprived with it. They did do some wonderful sight gags, and the fight sequence between Soldier Boy and Homelander.
So good.
It was so good, and it made me think of the Incredibles and Edna, the designer. No capes. Now you know why you don't have capes.
Yep.
It's great.
So, and I do love The Boys, the show, better than the comic book, because in comic book it's very just like there is no character arc, there is no character development. Everyone in that comic book except for Huey is a bastard. They're just horrible people. The show is giving them these arcs that like, oh no, they actually are trying to redeem themselves. Um, but what I really also want to see, and Greg, I think you agree with me, is The Boys gave us a lot of great spoofs. Like I want to see Tech Knight, which is Batman and Iron Man, and he's like a sex addict with a brain tumor. Like I want to see that, right? Like
Yeah.
the reason why the Robin character left is because Tech Knight tried to sleep with him. Like it is like he can't stop. Um, the fact that we haven't gotten to the X-Men yet, but like those are just like completely like horrible. Like I want to see where they can go take this, and I love the fact like this isn't actually it is political. Because you had so many people during season 2, like on the right claiming Homelander like their hero, and even Eric Kripke was like, "Are you watching this fucking show?" Like you hear people like dressing up like Homelander with like Trump masks. You're like, "Are you watching my show? Or do you not understand what the show is about? Like, what are you watching the same shit I'm writing?" And Kripke was like trashing him. So then we see that at the end of and look, give it up for Anthony Starr. Like this dude killed it season 3, where like when he kills that one guy in the finale, and Eminem's ex-wife's boyfriend, like, yeah, like clapping. He's like, oh, I can do whatever the fuck I
Yeah.
want. Like the look on his face was so good. And like, okay, this now whatever blackmail they might have had on him, he doesn't give a shit. He's like, this is what they want. I can now go full throttle.
Nicely done.
Yes.
I just want to go performance wise. Besides the fact that I know he won't because it's a superhero show, but I really think, and people throw this stuff around so much with nerd shows and or geek shows, whatever you want to call it. But I do not use this lightly, that I really think he should be nominated for an Emmy or a Critics' Choice Award.
Agreed.
Or I mean, Grant Critics' Choice Awards are done. Emmys are he won't be eligible for an Emmy already because they already did for this year. But just the fact that he's being overlooked, his work on this season in particular is superb. Like the part I want to nail on is, I can't remember. Maybe you can help me on the context. He does the thing where he's being filmed and he gives that speech over the TVs and everything.
Yeah.
I forget what was happening there. It's like he
I,
comes out with, I think, Starlight or whatever, and
I think Starlight kind of like throws him under the bus.
yeah, and he just like he gives this big old monologue, and oh my god, it was incredible. I was like, holy, the amount that he embraces this character and is fully delved into and locked into it, just superb. Like I really enjoy it.
And also A Train, that whole storyline,
Yeah.
with the racist like speeds, the racist guy, like, oh, and then the fact that he got his heart from, you're like, oh man, that's
Yeah.
And he played it so like when he showed up to the brother's place with like the African colors on his suit. I'm like, oh, they're going here, but it was done so well that you're like, oh, okay, okay, this is. I mean, the acting across the board was fantastic. I mean, Paul Reiser, like he was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Anthony Starr should definitely have gotten a nomination.
They do such. I mean, anyone that watches it knows this, but they do. If for some reason people aren't watching it, one of the things I think they do so well is it's a superhero show where the superhero-ness is barely even focused on. Granted, I kind of wish they would fight crime once in a while, but that's besides the point because they don't. But the fact that they continuously map out the political landscape and the behind the scenes of what superheroes in the real world would be like, and the amount of positive and negatives, or whatever you want to call, of all the muck that they would go through possibly. And I think it's beyond fascinating because we get like, for lack of a better example, the DC stuff with Superman, and he's pretty much a liked guy, and he goes through his life pretty much liked. I mean, there's some people, of course, that don't like him, and there's depending on what movie, TV show you're watching. But
Yeah.
but like the whole thing with the boys, and they have approval ratings, and they have fan bases and Instagram followings, and who's got more, and so it's just like I love how all of that caters to our modern society.
Yeah, agreed.
Greg, you have any final thoughts on it, or?
No, pretty much you guys have nailed it completely, and I think that's the thing about it. It's the absurdity of of what they are doing, but it's mixed into the idea of like, we know how governments work, we know how corporations work, and they gleefully just do it with such aplomb here. It's well done, and and again, it's like it's not far fetched, and that's the thing about when you see people who don't get it, they're not realizing that's what's really being told to them that you should be listening to and you should be looking for, and you're just missing the point. But it's like when you get it, you're just like, wow, they do it so well.
Yeah.
Oh, and before I segue with that, I do want to do not want to be just that Karen Fukuhara is, for a woman that has no lines, beyond unbelievable.
Killing. No, she's like
the
I said,
fact you can act that well without speaking is unbelievable.
Because you feel so bad for her, and like the made up ASL that she has with Frenchie.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's all with her eyes. Like and when she calls herself a monster, like you feel for her because she doesn't want to be. And when she got depowered, she felt like, oh, I can live a normal life now. She could get the rom-com that she wanted for her life. And then when she realized that she has to be the quote-unquote monster again, the heavy, like, oh, and you feel for her.
Yeah, it's the sadness of the fact that the person that she's in love with, the world that they're in, you can't be normal.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be a casualty.
Mm-hmm.
You can't accept that. The sadness is like, is it better not to know versus now you know, and how that's going to affect her. But yeah, it's sci-fi has fantastic acting. The problem that a lot of these award shows have is that they look at it and they dismiss it because it's not traditional drama.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not a procedural. It's not about doctors. It's not about lawyers or something like that. There's the Saturn Awards. God forbid there's so many award shows, but there are some things that do stand up and take notice and have gotten a little bit more credibility. And the nice thing with social media is, like us, we can sing their praises because they are doing great performances, and they're doing them in costumes with prosthetics and other things that you don't have to deal with other shows. And they just love what they're doing, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, look, I want to sum up the boys, especially like with Karen Fukunawa and like with the female and Frenchie and all that. First off, in the books, the only one who gets a happy ending is Huey. Huey and Starlight actually do end up together. But for me, it always comes back to that. Probably the one of the best lines from Game of Thrones is when Tyrion is locked up and Pedro Pascal is like, gonna fight for him as the Viper. And he was like, if you've come here for justice, you've come to the wrong place. And that's a wonder. It's a great line, but that's how it is in the boys. If you really come for justice, you're not going to get it here.
All right. Well, that is The Boys on Amazon. Season 4 is probably coming out in 2023. If you're not watching it, well, we can't recommend it enough. Greg, start us off on our last one we're going to do for our top 5 here. Top 5 consensus. Lord of the Rings of Power.
Wow. Okay. So I will say that Lord of the Rings, for me, I've enjoyed it through the movies, and that's it. I really haven't read any of the books. I appreciate the work that he's done. I've heard about it before, but for me, it was always about, when I was a kid, I remember the animated movies that they did with Ralph Bakshi, and
it freaked me out.
But I liked it, and I was like, this is cool. And Gollum was such a neat thing, and it was like, okay, this is like the fantasy that I want to just get wrapped around. So when I heard they were doing this and the amount of money that they were spending on it, you can't be but like, okay, I got to give it a shot and see if I'm going to like this. And I came back with an appreciation for a very solid, good story, but the amount of money that they put into the show, it is phenomenal. It is really something to behold. when you're seeing the final product of what they did. And I thought the casting was good. Um, it's thick. You need notes, and I'm not gonna lie, where it's like I'm going to outside sources afterwards to go like, okay, what character is this again from Peter Jackson's movies, and why are they doing this
Oh
now?
yeah.
And then it gets a little weird too, because you're all like, well, these aren't hobbits, but they're kind of like hobbits. They're pre-hobbits, and it's just so much that you're trying to figure out. But at the same time, you're taking all this in of the emotional responses for some of the characters that they show, the the twist and the turns of the elves versus the orcs versus the humans, and it's just so beautiful to look at. And I just remember it was one where I ended up like, okay, every week it came out, I had to watch it when it came out because I wanted to see what was going next. A little bit of it was like a rehash of what you've seen before, but it was just done on such a great level that it was entertaining to me.
Bobby.
I liked it. My So one of my best friends, actually, Derek, you met him at the wedding. My buddy Eric, huge Lord of the Rings fan. He actually like listened to all the books and audio.
Oh wow.
Deep dove into YouTube channels, and he liked it. He liked it. He said there's a few things that were like kind of expanded and things he didn't like. I liked it enough. I thought the scope was insane. I mean, the acting was fantastic. I love the acting. I love the writing. I thought it was a little slow in some parts,
The beginning.
especially the beginning. The hobbits. I forget what they're called in this one, because they're not hobbits. They're like a precursor to the hobbits. Um, a little felt kind of Ewokish to me. Like I
Because they're
don't.
little.
Well, no, it's just like that storyline kind of like slowed down everything, like the pacing, like
Well, they basically just used it so they could bring Mr. I Fell from the Sky in. That's basically their only
exactly, and that's
purpose.
fine. which for me, Lord of the Rings was kind of like Obi-Wan. The first half was very slow and like, oh god, we get it. The final 2 to 3 episodes were so good that when we get to Mordor, when we get to like who really is Sauron, I'm like, oh shit. Like that was one of my oh shit moments of 2022. Was when we finally get to who Sauron is. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, because I think that, as I said, the one thing is the creation of Mordor was amazing.
Yes.
The one thing I was kind of like wanting to see and didn't see was the dwarfs fighting against what the heck is that creature? The Balstoff, the you shall not pass creature you see.
Yeah, the ball stock. Yeah.
It's like it's hinted at. You see almost the final part that's going to happen, and then they don't show it. And I'm all like, what do you mean you're not going to show me that? After all this time and the whole setup for like the Mithrite, how it's so powerful. I was like, oh, I want more of that, and so it's like I gotta wait. So I know, it was one of those things where like the battle they had was great, but it wasn't the battle I was expecting, I guess.
Yeah, and then hold on, let me go to IMDb real quick because who is it? It's
For what?
Gladiel.
Morphin Clark.
Yeah, more she is such a, and it was so
And she's got to carry the show for the most part. The
has
show generally follows around her.
yeah, and honestly, like I don't know how her back hasn't broken from her carrying the show because she nailed it. And I saw a lot of people like kind of bitching online, like, oh, once again we have another female. Like, it's fucking Galadriel. Of course she's gonna be a badass. Like, what are you? It's like these are the same people that like kind of bitch about Wonder Woman being like a badass or Captain Marvel. Like, why is she so like such a hero? Because it's fucking Captain Marvel. Small dick dumb shit. Like
Yeah.
it's like I don't understand these people.
Yeah, I'll go with the thing with Greg saying about the scope. It's a thing that maybe individually, because I know some people they're like, oh, I just don't care for the storyline or I don't care for the world and stuff. And to me, that's where it gets me. It's just like the amount of imagination and creativity into this world is just awe-inspiring, and like the fact of all the characters, the animals, the creatures, the magic, the weapons, whatever, like even like the ships and stuff, the way they make I forget what they even call it, the one the one place that Gladriel visits, and it's got, it's like where the humans are kind of, or not, they're saying, oh, an elf is here or whatever,
Yeah.
and like how that it's like this tucked in part of society or whatever, and so, oh, we don't want to get involved, we're fine here, and it's like, she's like, you better get involved or we're gonna have a war and it's gonna come to you. And but just like they have so much different societies they've built in so many different races and everything, and I love it. Like, yeah, it's like we got the, when it comes down to it's the good versus the bad, but like, you get the dwarves and like the elves, and just, anyone that's watched Lord of the Rings knows that. But that's what draws me in to this show, besides the fact of what is actually happening, because when you break it down, all it is good versus evil. That's pretty much all the show is. But like how it's presented is what gets me.
Yeah, because it also gives Saffron a voice in this one, which we never had in the movies. If you've only seen the movies, you just see the eye. And it's like, again, going with the idea of like the bad guy that we see as the bad guy doesn't think he's bad. He's doing the right thing. He has a plan to make things better. It's just, if you don't like his plan, you're gone.
Plus, I liked what I forgot his name. What was the guy that was kind of like the leader of the orcs?
Oh, and he got recasted too.
Right, but I'm just saying. So, anyways, the thing that one of the differences I thought with this series versus the movies is he brought, not necessarily, I don't want to say a human element because he definitely isn't, but
Adar.
But like he brings an aspect, because the orcs were always just these like bumbling villain crazies or whatever. Like, he brought a leadership or like a driving, commanding force to like, okay, there's a head to this beast, and I'm bringing it into, and it's not necessarily, he didn't really do anything original, but it's different than when you just got the orcs like snarling and growling, whatever. But like, you had like their leader up there, and then like they had the scenes with him where he was tied up and stuff, and it just brought more villainous hate, anger, whatever to their evilness.
There was a cleverness, because like you said, with that battle where you think the villagers have won, and then you realize, oh no, he sent all the villagers that he turned to fight. You didn't kill my guys, you killed your own guys. It was clever thinking, and I think that's the thing you kind of like with this. It's like there's a lot of different takes into what you're watching. It is good versus evil, but again, more layers, complexity to the characters. I thought it was a really good cast. A lot of these actors I haven't seen before, but I enjoy, like you said, how you get drawn into this world and you're just in it, and everything from the leaves to the trees to the shields to the book. It's like, talk about a show that Travis should get on, because he would love it.
Agreed.
I can see him on that one.
Like, what about the dwarves, underworld, all that? Oh my god, their whole civilization is amazing. Fantastic.
Yes. And the fact that, again, women have more to do than just look pretty there. They have power, they have influence, they're looking out for too. The whole relationship between the dwarf couple that take in the
she guy, totally tells him what's up all the time. She puts her foot down with him all the time.
Really well done.
So we're gonna jump ahead. So for the listeners, we're gonna jump ahead to I'm gonna turn it over more to these guys, because I don't have the investment in these shows that they did. I watched them, I wasn't big on them, and even for time's sake, I'm just gonna let them take it. So you guys, we're gonna do a double whammy of the Marvel shows. Bobby, I'll throw it to you real quick. Do kind of like a combined thing of your love of She-Hulk and Miss Marvel.
Look, once again, I think it got a lot of hate because it was two female-led shows. That's what got the hate. Ms. Marvel was spot on from the comic books. It's basically just your TV version of Spider-Man. That's all it was. Like, it was Ms. Marvel. She was learning her powers. Like, the first episode was all right, but once you got into like the family, once you get into like who she is and how her like the family bond, like the like, Greg, you're when her dad showed up as the Hulk and she said no, if anyone says that didn't break them, they're lying. You felt so bad for her dad in that scene. The fact that we got a history lesson with Pakistan and India, like that's such, like, and the British colonization of the Southwest Asian countries, like that was fantastic. And then She-Hulk, look, Is it Tatiana?
Tatiana, I
Yeah,
believe so.
like she killed it as She-Hulk. And it was funny, like there were so many TikTok videos like, wait, you're gonna like tell us that nobody wants to date Tatiana Maslany? Bullshit. Um, like she killed it, She-Hulk killed it. Great, great villain where the fact that it's toxic masculinity was the villain really
Yeah.
was fantastic. Um, Daredevil, like Charlie Cox as Daredevil, like the fact that and then just the finale where we got the part where she talks to Kevin and she's like, Hulk smashes walls and fourth walls and sometimes Matt Murdock. I'm like, that is fantastic. That's brilliant. That fourth wall breaking is perfect. And then the fact that and it was always like, well, how is Marvel, how's the phase 4 connecting to the fact that we're now possibly seeing that the bands are the quantum bands because
Yeah.
she and Ms. Captain Marvel swapped. We're now seeing that might actually lead into the King Dynasty with Ant-Man and Quantumania coming out soon. The fact that the Quantum Realm might actually be in Shang-Chi's bracelet.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's connecting to the quantum. Like, so okay, where is like the bands? Like, all of it is fantastic. I loved it all. Were they as like like thought provoking as like WandaVision? Where like what is life? What is love? What is a soul? Maybe not, but She-Hulk still also gave us empowerment. But both She-Hulk and Ms. Marvel gave us empowerment, gave us laugh, gave us like a lot something to think on. Like when she's in the self help group with Abomination. Everyone's like, oh, how could you nerf Abomination? Like, he wasn't nerfed, he was under house arrest. And what was great about that finale is when She-Hulk actually does Hulk out because her whole life has been, put out there and violated and for all intents and purposes, she was sexually assaulted because it was all under false pretenses, and she does Hulk out. Yeah, she had a reason to get angry.
Yeah.
And you had a lot of people online going, well, how people were once again misconstruing, well, you're saying that, her trauma was worse than Bruce Banner's trauma. No, it's the fact that Bruce Banner doesn't know how to control his anger, didn't know how to control his rage, didn't know how to control his emotions. She says, as a female, we have to do this on a daily basis. And on top of that, still smile so we don't get killed. And then right before that, we see that Shova does get raped and taken away by like 4 guys who's trying to take advantage of her. And we're like, oh, but we, what are we saying? That guys are assholes. Not all, sure. But you ask any woman they've got a story where they've been hit on, where the guy didn't leave them alone, where the guy kept calling, where the guy didn't learn. Hey, you know what? Take no means no. And we saw that all played out in She-Hulk. And what's even funnier, and then Greg, I'll shoot it over to you, man. What's even like more like ironic is the fact that we're like, oh, they're just like week to week they're writing this. No, this was written out 2 years ago. They knew who the bad guy was going to, and every incel guy, every Andrew Tate, wannabe showed why the bad guy was who the bad guy was, because they showed it every week. TikTok, you'd have guys going, "This show is such crap. I want to quit it." And then every week they'd keep watching it. Like, if you hate it so much, why are you watching it? Because you hate it so much because you are the villain.
Yeah, it goes to the idea like when I was a kid and I was reading comic books were consumed by mostly boys.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a lot of girls in the comic book stores. There wasn't a lot of girls reading comics that you knew of. Girls played with dolls, boys read comic books. And that was the trope. And that's how it was. Well, times have changed.
Yep.
And we have as a society changed too. And we're more aware of things. And the best thing about these 2 series was trying to show it's not just for boys. It's for people. But hey, by the way, if you're a girl, we hear you, we see you, we want to show you that there are people that are just like you writing and making shows and comic books and stuff for you. Miss Marvel was Spider-Man, like you said, and it was a joy because perfect casting. They found someone
Perfect.
who had never done a role before. They captured her
Mhm.
perfectly because she was a Marvel nerd.
Yeah.
She was living the dream that every kid that reads a comic book was like, I want to play that character.
Yep.
And she did it, and she did it with such just grace. I mean, it may be the only role she ever plays. I hope she has a long life and career in acting. But if it's only this, she can hit her head up high that she did something just wonderful, and her love for that just came through and just made it great. And like I said, the family was great. You learned about a different culture that you may not know about. It ties in with four, it ties in with everything else. And it was just well done. It was just a great show. And even when it got a little bogged down, when they went to Pakistan and they had that whole reveal about the red scarf society or whatever it was,
Yeah.
and then it gets all destroyed, I was kind of like, well, they had it for history of hundreds of years and you just destroyed it in seconds. I'm like, that seems ridiculous. It still was a great show, just seeing her relationship with her mom, relationship with her grandmother, and then, like I said, getting the cultural lesson of just like comic books set in this world have historical content that we can teach you about and show you about. And just, again, a group of friends trying to do the right thing, loving their heroes and wanting to do something different. And when they have this, it's like, how can I help people? How can I be there for my friends and be there for my family and deal with everything? It was such a great, fresh breath of air, fresh. It was just great. I really liked that one. She-Hulk, I love too. I will do a little reveal. I know Jessica Gao. Jessica Gao is a friend of mine, not a close friend, but we used to hang out back in the day when she was just another geek going to comic book conventions with me and my friends. So to see her get picked to do this, to see her success and to write a show that was so, I knew that she was going to hit it out of the park, and she got the right cast and she got the right performances out of everybody. And she, again, she pointed out, these are people that think they're the gatekeepers of all the comic books and think that, oh, we're the only ones that know how to do it. No, there's more people that are into this, and we can make it something funny. We can wink at the fourth wall. It was so wonderful. I want Sideshow Collections to make a Kevin. I want to buy a Kevin. I need that,
Like,
well, I gotta quickly shout out to Ginger Gonzaga, who was our first like non-friend that we ever had on this show way back 7 years ago or whatever, and much accolades, and we're very thrilled for her. Mike and I, even though Mike's not on the show anymore, we've both talked about how happy we are for her. So she won't listen to this, but if anyone has been listening to us for a while, knows that we're very super proud of her, and we've had her on this show, and was very good to us.
She's delightful, and I remember when you met her, and I got to take that picture of you with her from the Upstanding Citizens Brigade show we went to. She did a great job in this one. Yes, she definitely did.
Actually, I'm kind of glad you brought her up because look, She-Hulk did right what I feel Supergirl failed in with female relationships. Because and Derek, I've told you this before with Supergirl. I think I told you this. Like, it always annoyed me where like Kara and was it Lena Luthor?
Yeah.
Yes.
That whole like, oh, you lied to me. Oh, you that always bugged me because that's where like the CW drama came from. Like, oh God. And this one, like, Nikki and Jen, like, Nikki is rooting for her. She's like, I'm your, you're my girl. Like, they are ride or die. And I love that. And then look, I loved Pug. Like, I loved what's his name? Josh Segarra.
Yeah.
Like, and he was, I loved him on Arrow. I loved him on Sirens. That was a great show. But his Pug, like his like love for all things Avengers and then like knockoff Avengers, like it was like he was so good. And like the way that they wrote his character, the way that he respected Nikki, the way that he respected Jen and She-Hulk, like that was what every guy should be with their female friend. Like, he's not trying to sleep with them. He's like, you know what? No, we're friends. Like, I'm a shoehead. I just want to be friends. And he did it so convincing. He did it so well that it's like I want She-Hulk season 2. I want more Wong. I
Oh,
need
we always want more Wong. He's great.
Wong was great, and oh god, what is her name? Um,
Jamil.
no,
No,
no, no, no.
he's talking about the drunk girl. Though it's supposed to
Yes,
fly,
Oh, they
but
keep saying she's gonna
Madison.
get. Yeah, they keep saying she's
Madison.
gonna get
I
her own
need
show.
Madison was so great. I
All right. Well, I'm gonna move you guys on though, and I'm pulling executive order of you guys being a guest on the podcast that you cannot do spoilers on this because I haven't watched it yet. But Greg, take us on. You guys both really like The Peripheral from Amazon.
ooh,
okay. So being a
the
fan,
way it ends. The way it ends there.
Shut up! I will mute you so fast. No.
uh, uh, being a fan of Westworld and loving the design and the cinematography, but especially the futuristic design of cars and architecture and shapes. This one has all that and more. And it's a very interesting story. Since I don't want to spoil it for you, I will just tell you that it's a sci fi story that has a cool connection to a now and a future. And it combines everything that you expect with most sci fi right now: VR sets, gameplay, 3D printers, rednecks and drugs and corruption,
Texas.
and it just and knowledge of what power can bring, and what, when people have it, how they'll try to even hold on to it during anything. But you need to see it, you need to watch it. It's really good. It's not what you think. I will say that. That's the thing. Even the name of the show, because it's like I said, why are they calling it that? And then when they explain it, I'm kind of like, that's still a little bit out there, but great performances. Chloe Martz is she does a great job, and and her whole family, the whole southern little town. Oh, I just loved it. It felt right. It was really well done.
Yeah. So how do I say it without spoiling? I think Greg kind of nailed it. Sci-fi, people are involved. There's a now, there's a past and a future. Uh, there are guns. How else do I explain it to you, Derek, without
Other
spoiling
people with
anything?
hair.
There are people with hair and without hair. But look, and I actually did love it because it does take place about 10 years in the future, and it's hilarious because it does take place, parts of it, in Texas. So it is set, but I can't even tell you that because you haven't watched it. God damn it, Derek! You're
Hey, it's not just me. I'm sure there's people listening to this that haven't seen it.
but
I'm
no,
just
look,
pulling one on you on this one.
but look, there is a lot right with the show, and especially the way that it ends. That finale was the season finale does have a few like, what the shit happened? Like there was one moment where I had to pause it and like speak out what just happened to my wife to make sure I understood it. And she's like, yes, however, remember this and this. I was like, okay, hold on. So like literally it like my brain like it like was like click, and my wife's like, all right, remember this happened. I'm like, oh, should we not paying attention? Like I'm like, I was, but like I was like replying to someone like I had like trying to listen to the dialogue. I had to rewind to like listen to the dialogue again. I'm like, wait, so there was a moment where like, I had to rewind it and like rewatch the scene. And my wife had like, okay, listen to the dialogue. I am, and she's like, this happened. I'm like, how the fuck did that happen? She goes, season 2. I'm like, oh god damn it. All right, because there's a lot where you have to like really. The Peripheral is not a show where you can just like blase, like you can't watch a blase.
So like
Yeah.
Westworld, but like Westworld, and that's a Westworld was a thinker show.
Yeah, you have to like really wait, and you have to like almost like draw out what's happening. You're like, okay, if this happens, then how does this happen? Because there are certain things where you have to like really like, and like they set up things in season 2 because they did things in season 1. We're like, all right, it's like the whole like writing, the whole like if you're writing a book and you mention that there is a shotgun on the wall, you have to use that shotgun. If not, it's pointless. So there's things happening in season 2 that have been set up in season 1, and you're like, I need a journal. Because Yvette Nicole Brown, when she watched The Walking Dead, she would write down everything because she knew, okay, how is this going to play? And Yeah.
All
And
right.
I will tease. You like the movie The Raid?
Yes.
There's an episode that has something very similar to The Raid.
Yes.
You will like.
Okay.
Yes.
Are we
Fair
right,
enough.
Bobby? Am I right
Yes.
about that? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna steal Greg for the next couple two here, and Bobby can take a beer break. So I want to first lead because I cannot get off, best of the year without talking about these. Greg, we got to talk about Barry.
Oh,
Oh, let me mute. Let me mute y'all because I don't want to hear any spoilers.
All right. Well, don't get too far away. So I'm just gonna do
Okay.
two. All right. I just want to the way that they have progressed with him is so amazing. That the fact that, like, we started with this guy that was a hitman, and then he's trying to redeem himself, but now he's to the point where, like, he's kind of like halfway between both, you could say, I guess. And, like, he's trying to live the straight life, but then he's getting pulled. And then the fact that they do such a good job of continuing with NoHo Hank and Cristobal's relationship and stuff, and the whole, like, Chechen mob and all that stuff. And then they still find a way to get Sally and her acting side, and, like, you could say, the normal citizen life. So you got, like, all of these worlds overlapping each other in just Barry's life.
it's one of those things where, again, it's like after season 2, you're thinking he's going to get away with it, things are going to be okay, and then in this one, you just see everything fall apart. And for once, it's like even when you think, oh, he's going to make it, he's not. And the way we end it with, like, it seems so pretty much like a given now where we're going to go with this next season. I can't wait for that. But what a season! Again, great performances. Henry Winkler, oh my God, just his story alone was so well done, and everything else, and the motorcycle sequence.
Yes.
Oh,
You have to talk
again,
about we have to
the
talk about the
motorcycle
motorcycle.
sequence was one of those. Shut the front door. Watch that again. I can't believe they filmed that in Los Angeles. They've actually filmed it. They did it, and go back and see behind the scenes. Kudos to everyone involved with that, of just making such a great performance out of what, hey, how can we do this with stunts and people, and just like sheer wonderful moments of just like delight. It's just really what it's just like I said, and just like, oh my God, look at the breakdown of the characters, look at the evil ugliness of each person, because none of these people are perfect. And then, the fact that it's just like Barry's getting cornered, everything's falling apart in his life that he thinks he has control of now, and then it's like, nope, this person finds out, nope, this person knows, and now these people are after you, these people are after. It was so just an amazing show.
The motorcycle episode was kind of a throwback to I can't remember. I think it was season 1 with the karate martial arts girl.
She was season 2.
She was season 2. I can't.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly the same thing.
It's like that kind of, like, impressive, wonderful work on an episode. It's like, oh my God, it's like the standout,
Yeah.
And then Sarah Goldberg's losing her crap in the elevator episode on Darcy was just
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
And they said, like, hey, Greg, Lieutenant, like, I'm not good. I'm not this person. I'm a whore. And they're like, no, you stood up for this vet. You're helping these people out. Just the whole, like, I want to crawl out of my skin and get away from this person. He killed the woman that I loved, but now I have to act like I like this guy. It's just, the sheer terror. And again, very like, I can fix it. I can put everything in the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. So Bobby's got to watch. He's got to catch up.
Well, speaking of other stuff he needs to watch, we're going to touch on this one really quick. So Better Call Saul, final season.
Oh God. Yeah.
The only I don't want to get into it too much because it's one of those things that I feel at this point, if you haven't watched it, it's nothing we really need to talk about, because if you watched it, it was good, it was amazing, and you already. But I can't do a top 20 or top list of 2022 and not bring up the finale of maybe one of the greatest shows in the last 10 years. But the fact that, I'm going to be a little bit of a whiny fanboy, but the fact that Odenkirk and Reyes Steinhorn are still going to award shows and not winning stuff is just beyond ridiculous to me. It upsets me so much. I think it's stupid.
It's a very complex thing, and I will touch on this because the weird thing is we know they're going to get nominated again next year because the way that the show was broadcast.
I know, but I just don't have any hope.
Yeah, I do. I think Ray's going to get it. I think she's going to get it for the final ones, because when you look at where they had the break, her biggest episodes still were the ones that came at the end.
I hope.
And
we'll see.
And the Critics' Choice Award, they did start winning stuff. So I think you're going to see that nice turn. But amazing, fantastic. And, it's just like, I can't wait to see the next things those guys do. But it was so bittersweet to see it come to end, but I loved it. I loved it so much.
The fact that, we finally pretty much get a close on Saul's world, and we finally get, because this whole series has been prequel, and now we finally go to present, and they did a great job of kind of like finishing up everybody's lives or wrapping up everyone's storylines. And I want to give the most non-spoiler review, but basically, it's not really a rosy ending, I would say, honestly, for maybe anyone.
It's the appropriate ending, and I will say this, just as far as character actor shout outs, Carol Burnett.
Yeah, she was fantastic. Oh my gosh,
awesome.
And, Giancarlo, great again, of course. He continues to be. It's amazing how he can be such a powerful villain, but at the same time, he finds these humane moments where he is just a guy.
Yeah.
So it's I couldn't, no way we could leave this list without putting those two in there. So Bobby, are you back? You listening?
I'm back now. Yeah.
Okay.
Literally, I was trying to like hit like mute so I didn't like hear anything on Barry. But like I unmuted y'all and I just heard Greg go,
"That's fine.
Bobby, you need to watch Barry." I'm like, okay, good.
Well, first you have to watch Barry because it's only half hour, so that's easy. But then you need to watch Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. But we already know all this.
I know. I don't know why I stopped watching Barry, because I watched season 2. Like I've been watching Barry. I'm like, this is fantastic, and I got like the first episode of Barry, and I was like, I'm sure something took me off, so yeah, I need to finish it.
You know what? When the third season came out just recently, it was a weird kind of like drop. It was, people were watching it, but there wasn't like a big, at least to me, I don't recall a big, hey, Barry's back kind of thing.
Did you like? Hey,
yeah, I think everyone seemed to like jump on it when they had the chance. It wasn't like I saw like 8 million Facebook posts of everyone jumping on Barry at the same time.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna give one more for you two, and then we will drop one each individual one that we felt needs to be brought up. Okay.
Okay.
All right. You two can talk about the dumpster fire that I call House of the Dragon. And that gives all the opinion you need to know on what I think of it.
How dare you, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry. Squabbling soap opera family drama is not my idea of a good show.
But the politics of it all, dude. Come on. After the way that Game of Thrones ended, and what's funny is every time I think about the finale, when I watched it, I'm like, oh, it wasn't that bad. I'm like, little disappointed. This is bad, and then this is bad, and then like I think like by the end of the week, I was talking to my mom, and she's like, "This was bullshit, and this is bullshit, and why'd they fuck up this guy?" So, getting the prequels that we did, I know that there was one that they had filmed, and they canceled because they said no, it's not good. And I know we're getting one more with Jon Snow, or we're getting a sequel at least with Jon Snow. The way that they have set up House of Dragons, with the time jumps and with such superb acting, like Derek, I don't know why you don't like this, because it's good acting, good writing. You can say what you want about
the writing's not good. No, it's not.
It's good.
All the people are terrible. They're horrible, unlikable people. They all need to get thrown into a pit and burned. I can't root for. There's no one to root for in this show.
Like the fact that we actually do know what happens to some of these people, like no one in this show is gonna come out alive or unscathed. Like even like
good, because none of them deserve it.
No, they're gonna be dragon fights, like, but the acting is like.
The acting is good. I will not say anything bad about the acting. The acting is good. Yes.
Matt Smith is fantastic.
Yes.
I will give you Millie Alcock all day. She, like, oh my God, revelation of an actress I want to see in everything for the next 10 years. Holy crap, she's amazing.
Like Reese
and then she leaves the show.
I know. Reese Evans was great. Graham McTavish was great. Fabian Frankel as Sir Christian Cole, he can go fuck himself. Okay, I hate Sir Christian Cole. Great actor. Because when you play a character that you're like, you know what? I hope you die. You're really giving me your all. Patty Considine was great. Eve Best was so good. I mean, it's so good. Emma Darcy. Emma Darcy is stealing this show, and sure, yeah, she's supposed to. But I mean, it's so like. Oh, I'm sorry, they are stealing the show. Like Emma Darcy is killing it. Olivia Cook, like they're all just like nailing it. Like, and look, Millie Alcock, and Emma Darcy, like there is like Pokemon, like evolved. Like it's like Princess Renera level 1, Princess Renera level 2. And I'm really excited to see what we get in season 2, especially with what we should be getting from the books is going to be even more brutal, more bloodshed, and a lot more deaths.
Yeah, for a fan that hasn't read any of the books, still hasn't yet. For me, my take on this was, it's like I said, same way. I remember the end of Game of Thrones going, I didn't like that, kind of like that, and that's kind of weak. But again, I'm not the one writing this; I'm the one watching this. So that's my takeaway. I said, okay, let me see what they're going to do with this series and see where it goes. Because, like I said, now I have a window into it from the first series. I want to watch this and see what they do. I liked all the actors. Don't know all their names, so I'm glad you mentioned their names. Everybody was great. It was
those people that Bobby listed.
Yes, it was cool to see those things. The only thing that bothered me, and I couldn't believe it, was they had a dark episode where I couldn't fucking see anything again because it was the same fucking cinematographer that they did the one where they did the dark episode in Game of Thrones. And they tried again to say, oh, that's how it should be. Fuck you. No fucking dark episodes. Just give me a black TV screen then and tell me that something's happening. Don't go that fucking dark. It's not our
title the episode this. No.
Oh God. I don't even remember which. I think it was the 6th episode or maybe the 5th. It was just, and it was like, really? I know that there's moonlight is being covered up and just, not that fucking dark. Oh my God. Because like I said, everything else I enjoyed about it. The last 2 episodes were so fucking phenomenal. Yeah. The escape from the house when she realizes that her brothers died and she's in there and she's like, if I don't get out of here, they're gonna kill me because they're trying to consolidate power, everything. When she gets on her dragon and pops out in front of the coronation event, I was like, that was so awesome. And just you held your breath and what is she gonna do? And she does what she does. It's just like it's great. And then that final episode where you just see the dragons are the ones like, you're not fucking the boss of me. You're just a little rider on me. I'm going to do my stuff. And again, size matters. Sorry. Reality of the world is if you're usually a lot bigger, you're going to win. And that was so well done. And you're just like, wow. Everything that, again, where someone's like, I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to do the thing that is expected of me. And everybody fucks me. So I'm going to fucking lose it. And the war is coming now. Ow, it's just really good. And then again, creepy factor. Do we need a foot fetish? Well, you're gonna get a foot fetish because it is Game of Thrones, and that's just how it is.
And kudos to the acting in that scene where when Rhaenyra's son is trying to escape, and they're dragons. Like you can't control a dragon. You just can't. And like when his cousin like kills him, or the dragon kills him.
Yeah.
The acting in that where he's like, oh shit. Like he knows he just threw the match on the embers.
Yeah.
And kickstarted the War of the Dragons, which I do know what happens to him, and it will be bloody.
I think that I like the other thing about it too is that for one of the reasons that they were trying to kind of say, like, look, these are stories being told by people that wrote them that supposedly didn't all happen to see what happened. So not every story is actually the truth; it's their truth. So trying to wrap your head around that, because again, the people that have read the books, the people that quote I know it all, have their vision of things and what they want to see, and when it doesn't line up, there's a problem with that. And shout out to Anna. She finally watched all the episodes and she's going to get money for her chihuahuas. But it was interesting to hear her point because she talked again about the birthing scenes.
Mhm.
How, from her point of view, that was a little too extreme. It was too much. And I was saying, well, okay, I didn't see it that way. But then again, I didn't consider that because it's not a view that I would take into consideration all the time. So it's, again, a good show usually makes you talk about things that you don't know about to learn about it and to hear how other people are about it. And not everybody's going to like everything. And some people are going to be like Derek and go, wah, 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 where it's like, dude, all I got to say, True Detective season 2, learn.
That doesn't give you credibility. I'm sorry.
Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it isn't good.
That gives you very bad credibility. I'm sorry.
And I will give the showrunners credit for the because they are leaning into what Martin wrote, whereas oh, Benoff and oh god, who was showrunning Game of Thrones? They were like, no, we're not going to follow the books. We're not going to do. We want to do our own thing. It's like there's a lot more like mysticism and sci-fi in Game of Thrones that we saw that we got to see, and I think they're leaning more towards that in this one. I'm really happy about that.
The only thing I will say is that I thought the last half hour of the last episode was good, and from what I've heard from people that have read the books, and what I can gather even from just watching this, is that this is all set up. It's all kind of just like building the characters and everything, and then season 2 is when's going to get buck wild, and that's fine. I'll get into season 2. I'll be hopeful for season 2, and hopefully season 2 is good. But season 1 still sucks ass to me.
You are insane.
No pleasing you, man.
Well, you can go talk on Toy Kind of Mood about how great it was and show your little House of the Dragon figures and show them flying around or whatever.
I wish they had them. I'd buy the
All right.
dragon.
We're on the home stretch here. So hopefully people are still with us. If not, then, well, we did our best to try to keep people entertained. One last show of your personal list that we left off. Greg, go.
Okay. If I'm going to pick the one show out of all the shows that I really liked that I didn't expect to, I'm going to say The Resort.
Oh, okay.
It was on Peacock.
Yeah.
It was one of those shows that I actually saw the panel for at Comic-Con. And it's just something different. It was entertaining, and it's sci-fi a little bit, rom-com a little bit, adventure. And if you can get Peacock and you can watch it, I recommend it. And I'm not going to say more about it because it's one of those shows again where like
less is more.
Experience. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Bobby.
This is tough. Because there are a few shows where I feel I don't know if they're going to get another season. I don't know what's going to happen. Like Andor, I know we're going to season 2. That was a show I think that was better left to binge than week to week. I actually binge like the last 5 episodes before the finale, and it was like, oh, this is why I love Star Wars. Like Andor is why Star Wars is so much better than Star Trek for me. Reservation Dogs. I don't know what's happening. I think they're getting a final season on FX.
Yes, I think they are.
Yeah. Once again, it's a show that it's there's a lot of funny, and then the punch, a gut punch.
And Greg, you suck in this one.
Yes, Reservation Dogs was one that I didn't get to see when the first season came out, so I watched it a little bit later. Then I was just hooked on it, and I saw the second season when it came out. And again, it's just, in a weird way, I'll compare it to Letterkenny, where Letterkenny is a comedy show mostly that has a little bit of drama. Reservation Dogs is more of a drama that has a little bit of comedy, but it turns out to be a lot of comedy. But it's just like it's heartfelt. You may not be a kid that lives on an Indian reservation, but you can relate to these kids. And then it's always fun to see how their culture is being represented correctly and misrepresented it, and it's just how they deal with it. It's just delightful.
Yeah, and the fact that we finally do get to see, in season 2, I know we finally get to see like what happened to their friend, and then this one kind of continues that, like, and them going to finish this journey. And honestly,
the beach scene was very sad.
The beach scene was it gets you. And look, like my honorable mentions, real quick, because before I get to I think what the final show I'm gonna do. Look, Rings of Power, Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan was great. Superman and Lois, Captain of Curiosities was kind of hit or miss. What We Knew in the Shadows was really good. Moon Knight, Stranger Things, Wednesday, Umbrella Academy, Winning Time. Winning Time was fantastic. I love Winning Time. But the two shows I'm gonna finish off on before we do this, Interview with the Vampire was really well done.
Yes.
And my wife hates period pieces. She just hates them, but she liked Interview with the Vampire because it was so well done. Like and moving it up from the Civil War to 1910s, 20s, Louisiana was great. But if you have not watched Dead to Me, the final season, Christina Applegate
Dana
and
Cardellini.
Cardellini, and look, you can obviously tell, and you know, because Applegate has MS and she's dealing with that, and so a lot of the show is her sitting down or in bed or on a couch or in the car. And even when she's standing, they were saying that a lot of the shots were like medium shots because they had a guy underneath the camera holding her legs for her. The reason and like I cried at the finale. The finale is so moving, so until like the last like 5 seconds, and you're like, what the fuck? But Applegate's performance, like Cardellini does an amazing, like she's fantastic, but Applegate's performance in this, like it really makes you go like, outside of like, you know, fuck MS because it's a horrible disease, but really like this is someone whose career should be getting a renaissance with this show, and instead she's having to retire from acting because of MS. And you're just like, man, like she's done some great job, like, some great works in the past, no sense of bus, but her acting in this is so like just deadpan perfection that you're just like, fuck, I want another season. I want like another, like I want like she should have like a Julia Louise Dreyfus like beat type show. Like she'd be fantastic. And instead, this is her swan song. And honestly, it's a fantastic show to end on because there was a lot of death and grieving, and how do you handle death, and how do you handle grieving, how do you handle murder? Like there's that too. But her dealing with her grief, like when her husband dies, is that she like puts on like Slayer, like turns up and like so like head banging and screaming. You're like, oh, it was such a good show, and the way it ended, like my wife and I were both tearing up because like, oh, it's so.
Before I put a pin in it, Greg, you any random ones you want to let her off?
I'm taking a look at my list here. Let's see. Where are we going here? What do I want to shoot?
This is great for the audio format.
I know. Sorry. Wonderful, wonderful thing. I was going to say there was one called The Wedding Season, which
you said I have no idea what that is.
So the Wedding Season has to do with your girl from Alita Battle. Rosa
Salazar. I have heard of this. I just haven't seen it. I did. It came out only a few months ago, right?
Yeah, it's on Hulu. Here it was a BBC, I think, production.
I have heard of this. Yes, and, I just didn't. You had to throw Rosa in there, and then I know.
Yeah. So again, it's one of those ones where it's a comedy of you're put into the middle of a story and you just start running with it, and then you're trying to find out what is really happening, what is not true, and what is true. And it's basically a romantic story too, because the two leads are kind of like interested in each other, but you don't know where it's going to go. It's really great, and I just can't say more about it other than like you got to watch it and see.
Anything with Rosa Salazar is worth watching.
There
just like go. Anything with Aubrey Plaza is worth watching.
There you go. Even Saturday Night Live.
I didn't see that. I do need to see that. Okay.
Real quick before we finish, because we are getting, 2023 is coming up, and we've already got some great shows like Last of Us is fantastic. We're getting Mandalorian. Greg, something you mentioned, Umbrella Academy season 4 will be coming either late 2023 or early 2024.
Yes.
So, and then if you haven't watched it, Alice in Borderlands is fantastic.
Oh yeah, you were talking a lot about that. I had never even heard of that show though.
That is that a Korean import or an Asian import from like, what's that?
It's Japanese.
Okay. I've seen some clips for it, but I haven't seen it yet. The one I got to catch that I haven't watched.
Was it on Netflix? Okay.
Yeah, is the bear.
Oh yeah, everyone loves the bear.
I got to watch that one. I
Yeah.
got to see what that's all about.
I've heard nothing but good things about the bear.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I will end it off. My almost favorite show, and I watched it all the way back in January, February, whatever, and even I still thinking about how amazing it was even a year later, is All of Us Are Dead on Netflix, Korean zombie import. It was a huge hit, so I'm probably not giving any big revelation to many people listening to this, but I loved it, loved it, loved it so much. The episodes are like an hour plus each one. They're very long, but they're so well done. And everyone's like, "Oh, Whoopi, do another zombie show."
That is fantastic.
But like just the way they did this show, with the fact that they hole all these kids up in a school, and they're trying to figure out how the hell they're going to get out with a city that's been overrun by a virus of zombies. The they the thing is they do a well enough job to where they flush out the characters' personalities and traits enough to where when obviously they're not all going to make it, and when they die you care. It's not like, oh, there goes Mike, he's dead, well, he only had 3 lines, so who cares? Oh, there goes Brittany, well, she had 2 lines, so we don't really care. Like, they give lots of time to all these characters, so when they bite it, literally, you're very sad, because you get attached to almost all of them. There's a couple of them I wasn't so sad, but most of them I got attached to. I did have a couple problems with some of the writing creative choices, but I'm not going to get into that here. But that's the only reason it's probably not my favorite show of the year, because there are some of the creative choices that I really disagree with, and I think were big blemishes. And I would love to go to the creators and say, why the F did you do this, and why did you do this with this person? But right. And then they do the whole thing with they show how the government deals with the virus. They show how the parents are trying to reach their kids who are stuck in the school. There's a quote unquote villain bad boy kid of the school who he comes after the other students because he's an asshole, and of course he has to try to find a way to make their life hell. Even in a zombie apocalypse, he still has to be a bully. But it's just so many, and of course the blood gore action is off the charts insanely. I mean, if you watched Train to Busan, it's right up on that level. So I loved it so much. And there's no way that I could not, it would be in my top 3 easily best shows in the year. And to throw it in my other top 3, and I don't need to talk about it because we already did a whole episode about it, is of course, in case anyone that knows me, Euphoria, for sure, loved it all the way back in January and stuff. Still, even after a course of 12 months of TV, love the crap out of it. Still got to wait 2 more years or 3 more years for Sam and crew to get it together, but I'll wait, and I'll deal with it when it gets here. Any final thoughts, gentlemen? Yes, we all know The Last of Us is good. Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where, like, there's so much good TV that I make notes of things that you guys talk about that I haven't seen that I want to watch. The only fear I have now is I hate this trend that started with HBO Max, or the parent company. They're canceling shows that they had given a second season to, and then they're taking it off the platform, so you can't even watch what they had. And it's disappearing. This is concerning, because, like I said, you can cancel a show if you want to. I get it, but leave it on if you can, because I want to still watch it and be the judge of it myself. You take these shows and do a tax write-off. It bothers me to no end. So I hope that doesn't continue next year.
Yeah.
I definitely, well, real quick, I don't have the funds for it, obviously, or the room, but I have never seen an argument for physical media more than the last like 6 months, a year of the TV season with Netflix and FX and with HBO Max and all these shows. They're just like, well, we're canceling this and we're just gonna yank it, so you're all screwed.
Yeah. Well, no, and that's why when people go, why do you? Because Lance, like, you still buy DVDs, and I'm like, yeah, because if someone takes off the movie, you can't find it ever. Sometimes you can't find it. Like one of my favorite, mockumentaries is Drop Dead Gorgeous. Hilarious.
Oh, love it. Yes.
And we could not find it streaming anywhere. Luckily, my mom.
Wow.
Yeah, my mom found it. Found the DVD like at a vintage shop, so she bought it because Ashley's never seen it, and it's hilarious.
Oh, it's so good. One of Kirsten Dunst's one of my favorite Kirsten Dunst roles.
Oh yeah, 100. Oh, could easily be my favorite.
And it's also one of those ones you look at the cast and you're like, all these people were in one movie together.
Exactly. That's why. But like, look, HBO pissed me off. They renewed the Minx. They shot season 2. It was done, and then they canceled it.
To be
And
fair, though, someone picked it up, right?
Yeah,
Huh?
Stars.
Yeah.
Stars did pick that up. They made that announcement
Yes.
recently.
But to be fair, your argument still it makes because what if someone didn't pick it up? Yes.
If someone hadn't picked it up, and Jake Johnson in that, like, this show is so irreverently funny, and it's a wonderful premise. Like, she's trying to start like a feminist like manifesto. Let's put it in a male porn magazine in the 70s. It's like, this shouldn't work. It shouldn't be this funny. And it's hilarious. And it's like, oh, like, there's actually great messages in this. Like, besides, once you get past all the penises, it's great. No, like, and that's like, yeah, like, and or HP doing like, or WB doing stupid shit, like, they canceled Batgirl but kept Black Adam. He's like, and then when I heard all the rumors that, because all the stuff was getting leaked, was that Batgirl was just as good, if not better, than Black Adam. It was like, you really thought this was a good marketing plan? Like, oh,
Well, you don't want to fuck with The Rock, apparently.
you don't, and you have to give it to him, because he tried to spin it like, oh no, we've made just as much money as Captain America: The First Avenger. I'm like, that is not the flex you think it is. Because first off, Cap 1 was an amazing movie, but B, that was the first Captain America movie in like 30 something years. No one gave a shit about Captain America or Chris Evans at that time. Now everyone loves it, but like, come on, like, you've had 15 years to work on this script and you give us this.
Plus, budget wise, it's totally different.
Yeah, budget wise, totally different. You've had 10 years of DC Universe trying to figure out what to do with itself. Like, fuck off. And then the fact that, once again, John Cena and Batista are like acting their asses off, and The Rock's just The Rock. I'm sorry.
Well, on that film note,
but he spun it so well. Like, well, you know what? We all take losses. I'm like, God damn it, dude.
on that film note, no, but thank you guys for joining me, or us, or the group, or the pod, or coming on the show.
Been a pleasure.
Greg, please drop your Burger Lord social so people can see pictures of your tasty endeavors.
Yes, simply, it's my name, Greg _Mucino, Mucino, at Instagram and at Facebook and at Twitter. So, hit me up. Love to talk to you.
All right. And Bobby, what a toy kind of mood stuff you want to drop?
Oh, look, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok at a toy kind of mood. Let's see here. Make sure I have the right. Cause I need to do some more unboxings on TikTok, really. But it's, yeah, at a toy kind of mood. We just, and then on YouTube it's a toy kind of mood. We just did episode 108 where thanks, man. We break down Raiders, and we're, episode 109 we are doing on Tuesday. We're actually, every Tuesday we go live 5 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Central. We do every Friday at that time. This week we have a special guest. It is going to, well, this won't come out by Tuesday, but episode 109 will be us kind of like complaining about the fact that the pricing is going like to the point where we can't. Certain toy companies are going to start pricing out their collectors.
Well, I'm already there on that pretty much.
So.
But yeah, it's funny, you're already that far. It's like, at the rate you guys are going, you'll probably overtake my show pretty soon.
Pretty much. It's like, you do your show like what, once every like quarter,
6 months, yeah. And unfortunately, I don't want to get into it here or too much, but this might be the last show for a while. I don't know, we'll see. I wanted to at least get this one out there though, because I wanted to wrap up 2022. I'm hoping to keep going, chugging along. The show's not done by any means, but there might be a small hiatus, more like an intentional hiatus, not a accidental hiatus like I've been on. Not a tech problem hiatus. But for that, to keep up on us anyways, this is the Geekdom Fancast at Instagram and Twitter. I've been posting, cleaning up stuff from LA Comic Con, still through some NYCC stuff up there. and I'm gonna start slowly posting some AVN stuff for
Woohoo.
those that hopefully don't get offended. And I bet there's some that do like it though. Because I did have a good time. Unfortunately, I did not get to do any interviews, so I will not be doing an episode. Unfortunately, like last time, it just didn't work out. It was very crazy. I only went for a day and a half, so there was just no time to try to interview the girls because it was just so busy and so there's so much going on. Their lines are huge, and there's just no time. I need to go more days, and I will do that hopefully in 2024. I will plan it out better. But anyways, Greg, Bobby, thank you so much for joining the show. Thank you for bringing your TV favorites, and glad we got to talk about them. And for everybody else, hope to see you soon. And we will be saving a seat for you right on the recliner next to us with the remote. You can even handle the remote, and we'll enjoy it and bring the snacks. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Peace.